Good morning. It's another Toolbox Tuesday. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. This is Shannon chiming in live from beautiful Vancouver Island in British Columbia. Welcome to another Toolbox Tuesday. It's a beautiful sunny day here and very cold. And if some of you have been feeling a little discombobulated, today is a blood moon, a full blood moon and an eclipse. So so if you didn't sleep well last night, maybe there's something chimed in with that. This blood moon is permission for us to slow down and go inward. As you know, the days are getting shorter and the cold is upon us, so just permission to go inward and do self-care. I know we enjoyed lighting the fire last night and just playing some family games and enjoying that. So today's topic that I want to speak to is called leaning into the softness of our hearts. And I know I've often spoke of Mark Nepo, and he just is so fantastic in that whenever I seem to read him, which is almost every morning, it synchronicity is tied into exactly how I'm feeling that day. And he speaks about the hardness. And he says, the hard things break, the soft things bend. The stubborn ones batter themselves against all that is immovable. The flexible adapt to what is before them. Of course, we are all hard and soft, stubborn and flexible. And so we all break until we learn to bend, and are battered until we accept what is before us. Something that's definitely been showing up for me. I speak to this topic often. This last year I've gone through a lot of transformation, and one of the things that I know deep in my heart is that I have lived my whole life with anxiety and a lot of fear. And, growing up with this belief around not expressing emotion, believing that if I got angry, I was bad, or if I was sad, that I was weak. And what I know in my heart is that emotions are meant to flow through us. They're not meant to be suppressed. They're not meant to be pushed down. And I'm taking a course right now with a woman called Fiona Black, and it's all about expressing the emotions. And this is what we're teaching right now. Also, we just finished our last day yesterday with the Masterpiece Magic program with the teens, with my friend Amor in Botswana and Alexander in Switzerland. And what a gift to be able to share this idea that we don't have to pretend. We don't have to suppress, that emotions are okay. I think there's a story that sometimes that if we were to go into the emotion, whether it be anger or sadness, that maybe there's this idea that we would get stuck in that place. So it's too scary to go there because maybe we'll get stuck in sadness, or maybe we'll get stuck in anger. And there's a truth and a knowing that actually when we allow the emotions to come. They just flow through, and then we're reset again. I remember when I was working with this amazing counselor that I had when I was really struggling with how to deal with Nolan's emotions when he was quite young. Colleen Drubbett was her name and is her name. And, you know, Nolan still has a lot of really big emotions around anger. And she used to tell me, you know, even if Nolan falls down on his bike and like cuts open his knee and is crying from hurting himself, that experience isn't just allowing Nolan the opportunity to release the emotions about falling off his bike. It's also an experience of releasing any emotions that were stuck. And I don't know, like, for example, I remember a couple of years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago actually, when I had a really bad fall on my bike when I was biking up in Cumberland. And I just remember laying on the ground there, and I was hurt. But the emotion that came up was so big, like it was like an explosion wanted to come out of me, because there was so much suppressed emotion, whether it was anger or sadness or grief or so much of it, that I literally just exploded into like tears and anger. And so I guess what I'm saying is, what if instead of suppressing, that when the emotion came up, we actually gave ourselves permission to feel it, not be afraid, and know that once we have felt it and it's run through, that then there we are resetting our body, resetting our mind, resetting our emotions. You know, again, I speak to this place of anxiety and fear that I've had a lot of my life. And what I know was and is that often that anxiety shows and showed up and still does as anger. And so now that I know it's anxiety, and now that I try and I'm doing a much better job of not making it wrong, there's all of a sudden this lightness and softness that comes about me, that I don't need to suppress it. I just need to know that that's what it is, and then take permission, give myself permission to do what I need to do in that moment, whether it's go for a walk in the forest, whether it's going to my husband and saying, you know what, I'm not okay today, and either asking for help or asking for a hug, asking for whatever it is that I needed in that moment. And I'll just say that a hug goes a long way. When you're not feeling good, often we tend to want to go inward and say, oh, I'm going to take care of this all by myself. But what if we could go outward and be okay with the emotion, and not only be okay with it, but ask somebody around us for a hug, ask somebody around us to listen. Because not only do we not need to suppress the emotions, we also don't need to hide them from others, because we're all human. We just want to be heard. We just want to be held. We just want to be felt. We just want to feel like there's a togetherness and community. And when we give ourselves permission to do that, all of a sudden, there's this sense of being okay, because we are okay. Whether we're feeling angry, whether we're feeling sad, whether we're feeling grief, it's all okay. We don't need to run from it. We just need to be with it, allow it to flow through, and then we can reset. So I want to leave you with what Mark ended his little reading with today, and it's so incredibly beautiful. He says, "The live bough bends, the dead twig snaps. We are humbled to soften from our griefs, or else in brittle time become the next thing grieved." So he asks you to look at your hardness, look at your stubbornness. What are you preserving by being hard? What might break if you continue being resistant? Now look beneath the hardness. Look beneath the stubbornness. What do you fear will happen if you bend to the situation? And what might be gained if you step into the softening? Yeah. I think there's a lot to say about really knowing what is going on inside. Again, for many years, I didn't understand my anxiety. I didn't understand or know that I was allowed to feel. I was too embarrassed. But now that I know that emotions are okay, I slow down and I give myself permission to feel them. So I want to just send love out to all of you today, giving you all permission to step into the softness. Have a fantastic day, sending love to you all, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye, everyone.